So, when I say the words offshore banking, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's an image straight out of a spy movie. But the reality? Oh, it's way more interesting. And honestly, a lot more important to how the world's money moves than you might think.
Right? We immediately picture James Bond, some sleek briefcase full of untraceable cash and a secret account number that only some shadowy banker in a mountain hideaway knows. It's a fantastic image, for sure, but it's one that pretty much belongs in the world of fiction these days.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on that whole Hollywood myth. We're going to dig into what offshore banking really is, why people actually use it, and how this massive web of global rules has totally changed what was once a very, very secretive world.
At its core, the definition is, well, surprisingly simple. It just means you have a bank account in a country where you don't actually live. Offshore doesn't have to mean some exotic tropical island. If you're an American, it could literally be a bank right across the border in Canada. It's way more mundane than it sounds.
Now, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. There is absolutely nothing illegal about having a bank account in another country. The crime, the thing that gets you into huge trouble, is when you try to hide that account from your own country's tax authorities. That is the bright red line between smart finance and breaking the law. So let's really break that down, this crucial difference. Because on one side, you have a totally legitimate financial tool that people use for really sound strategic reasons. And on the other, you've got a setup for deliberate deception and, well, crime. And you can see the two paths so clearly here. On the one hand, you have the legit stuff, protecting your assets, diversifying where you invest, hedging against your home currency crashing. These are all standard financial strategies. But then you have the dark side. Tax evasion, laundering money, hiding illegal cash. This is exactly the kind of stuff that massive scandals like the Panama Papers blew the lid on, where these accounts were being used to hide wealth and dodge the law. Okay, so if it's not all about hiding from the taxman, what are the actual compelling and totally legal reasons for people and businesses to bank in a whole other country? Let's get into those motivations. A huge driver, maybe the biggest one, is stability. If you live in a country where the government is shaky or the economy is a mess, moving some of your money to a more stable place is just a form of insurance. And beyond safety, it's about opportunity. Getting access to international investments you can't get at home, or maybe getting higher interest rates or even different tax rules on capital gains in that host country. This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. For so many people around the globe, this isn't some abstract strategy to get richer. It's a very real way to protect their life savings from getting wiped out by a collapsing economy or snatched by an unstable government. It's all about security, not secrecy. All right, here's a twist I bet you didn't see coming. When we think of offshore havens, we're picturing the Cayman Islands or Switzerland, right? But one of the world's most popular and stable offshore spots for foreign money is the United States. Yep. States like South Dakota, Nevada, and Wyoming have become these magnets for international cash precisely because the U.S. is seen as so stable and has a strong legal system that, get this, sometimes offers even more privacy than the traditional havens. So we've covered the why. Now let's dive into the how. How does this whole system actually work? And more importantly, how is it regulated to stop all that illegal stuff we were just talking about? So a key piece of the puzzle is something called an offshore banking unit, or OBU. The easiest way to think about it is like a bank's shell branch in another country. So a big London bank might have an OBU in Singapore. That little branch doesn't deal with local Singaporeans or their currency. Its whole purpose is to handle international deals in foreign currencies for its foreign clients. It just makes global finance work more smoothly. In opening one of these accounts, it's nothing like a spy movie. It's a formal, bureaucratic process. You've got to pick your country, choose a bank, and then get ready for some serious due diligence. They're going to want to see your ID, proof of where you live, and this is the big one, proof of where your money actually came from. But that question still kind of hangs in the air, doesn't it? The feeling that this is all some unregulated Wild West of money. Well, the reality, especially over the last 10 or 15 years, is the complete opposite. A really dense web of international rules has been built to force transparency. The first layer of this global net is anti-money laundering, or AML, regulations. These are rules that force banks to spot and report any suspicious activity. The entire goal is to stop dirty money from crimes from being cleaned or laundered by passing it through the normal financial system. And building on top of that, you've got KYC, or Know Your Customer. This is all about personal scrutiny. Banks are required by law to prove who their clients are. So that idea of an anonymous source with a briefcase full of cash, yeah, that's not going to fly. They have to know exactly who you are. Then the whole game really changed with something called FATCA. This is a super powerful US law that reaches all around the world. It basically turns every foreign bank on the planet into a reporting agent for the IRS, forcing them to find any American clients and report their accounts. If they don't comply, they face massive penalties, so it makes hiding money from the US incredibly difficult. And taking a page from the American playbook, the rest of the world created the Common Reporting Standard, or CRS. Just think of it as the global version of FATCA. Now you have over 100 countries that automatically share bank account info with each other every single year. So if you're a citizen of Germany with an account in Panama, the German tax authorities are gonna know about it. So why is this web of rules so important? Well, just look at this number, $2 trillion. The United Nations estimates that up to $2 trillion, which is something like 2 to 5% of the entire world's GDP, is laundered every year. That mind-boggling number is exactly why all these global transparency rules are being pushed so hard. And all of this brings us to the central conflict in modern global finance. It's this constant push and pull between an individual's right to financial privacy and the world's demand for transparency to fight crime. And this timeline for the legendary Swiss bank account just shows you how dramatically things have shifted. That old model of absolute, ironclad secrecy, it's gone. Switzerland, the poster child for banking privacy, now automatically shares client data with dozens and dozens of other countries. The old system is simply over. Okay, let's wrap this all up. The bottom line is this. Offshore banking is a legal tool, and its main purpose is to protect assets and diversify investments. The crime isn't having the account, it's hiding it. And today, thanks to this powerful global framework with things like FATCA and CRS, hiding is harder than it has ever been. The spy movie era is officially over, replaced by an age of required transparency. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question to think about. As our world gets more and more connected, and as we demand more and more transparency to fight financial crime, what is the future of financial privacy? Where should we draw the line? That's a debate that is far from over.